Hello and welcome to Horror Rewind. This is Kelly Florence,
And this is Mark Florence.
and today we're talking about Halloween 4. Now, here's an interesting fact. This was the first Halloween movie that I ever watched. I was at my friend's house for a sleepover, and she and her brothers had rented this, and I had not seen any of the Halloween movies before. So this was my first exposure to Michael Myers. And I remember, thinking it was scary back then. I mean, this did come out in 1988, so it must have been, right around that time or a year later or so when they got it from the video store. And I'm not going to name any names, but I remember we came up from the basement to get something to eat, and her brother was rewinding like the sex scene, and we're like, oh God. But they showed some boobs, so I guess that's what you had to do back in '88, right?
Yeah, pre-internet, all that. So yeah, you had to make do with what you had back then.
Do you know the order of the Halloween movies when you saw them? Like, did you see them in order, or do you think you saw one of the later ones first?
I think I saw Halloween 2 first, then I saw Halloween 3, probably then 4. I don't think I saw Halloween 1 till like way later.
Yeah, isn't that weird? I know. I definitely saw them out of order as well. But, such was life with VHS and how you saw movies back then. Um, like I said, this movie came out in 1988. It had a budget of $5 million dollars, and it made 17.8 million at the box office. It's only 30% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. And obviously, we talked about the third movie, you and I together. They wanted to get back to Michael Myers after that third movie, which was a standalone Halloween movie. But they were like, nah, let's go back to Michael Myers. So, what do you think, returning to form? Since we've watched these now, we've been watching them in order. What do you think?
I think it was a good idea to go back to the Michael Myers. Like we said in the third one, just wasn't great, didn't hold up. But yeah, this brought back to the origins of the first one and a lot of parallels and similarities with the little girl, um, like dressing the same as he did and all that. So I think it was a good idea to go back to it.
The other thing I noticed is that there's a lot of little winks to this movie in the 2018 Halloween. And so even though this isn't considered canon anymore within that storyline, because Laurie Strode didn't die, as they say she did in this movie, the 2018 Halloween is a direct sequel to the first movie. They still paid some homage to this one. And they announced two more Halloween movies coming out in 2020 and 2021. So we're getting more Michael Myers.
I was thinking maybe they wanted Jamie Lee Curtis and she said no, so then they're like, okay, screw you. You died in a car accident.
Yeah, I was reading about it, and John Carpenter and Deborah Hill are not involved in this either. They sold the rights, and that's why the very beginning, I can't remember his name now, but it says so and so presents Halloween. They sold the rights, and so this guy became the rights holder to the Halloween franchise, and so that's why it was announced like that. But guess what? They kept the song, thank God, because that song is iconic.
Yeah, I mean, right when I heard that song, it brought me right into the Halloween, state of mind. So, um, I never understand. I think it's happened in a couple movies where they're was it in the first one? The very first one? They're transporting like a dangerous, well, especially this one after the guy has killed 16 people. They're going to transport him just in an ambulance by itself with like two paramedics. That didn't seem like a good idea.
I know they never have enough guards on him, and I was like, okay, I need to step back and stop watching this so logically. But some things did come up. Oh, but that in that ambulance scene, he definitely has some superhuman strength or something going on because he was able to just stick his thumb right through the guy's forehead to kill him, and then skipping to the end later, he's able to just reach through the truck door and like rip that guy's head off. He just like ripped right into his neck.
Yeah, his strength was increased, I think, in the movie. Yeah, sticking his thumb through the guy's face. He crushed. I think his name was Brady. He like crushed his skull.
Yeah, he's a strong MFer. I liked the little subtle times when they would show Michael Myers' reflection in a mirror or, some other reflecting way, or you just saw him standing in shadow. I realized some of those were not him, it was other guys in masks. And I also realized some of those were dream sequences, but those were nice and creepy. Oh, and you were noticing little subtle things within the shots too that I didn't pick up on.
Yeah, there's a lot of times. I think it was when he drove a tow truck, and then you could just barely, or like in the front of the scene, you could just see the hook of it. So then you knew he was there. But sometimes it doesn't even seem like he needs a car to get around because he can somehow like transport all over the place. So
Yeah, I think there's a meme of something about like when people see Michael Myers moving, he's moving kind of slow and steady, but then when people aren't looking, he must be sprinting everywhere because he always seems to get there first.
he knows where people are going. It's hard to think what you would do if he was after you because it seems like anything you try doesn't work.
This niece is following the story. Well, I'm saying niece, she's these people's niece, but she's apparently Laurie Strode's daughter in this movie. She has this nightmare in the beginning, and they're all woken up because she's screaming and crying. Can you remember ever having a nightmare so terrifying that you woke up screaming, or do you know of anybody who has? Like, were you woken up because someone was screaming from a nightmare?
I can't recall. I think my sister or somebody used to sleepwalk, but not have these nightmares.
No, I mean, definitely woken up from a bad dream and thought it was real for a second. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty extreme. Oh, there's a couple, I mean, it's the 80s, so there's a couple problematic and silly things that happen right away in the beginning. This dad, like, he accidentally dumps his tie in his own coffee, and then he's like pissed at his wife about it. And then also the mother's telling the daughter to like eat some more for breakfast, and she's like, "Do you want your daughter to be an oinker?"
Yeah, she says I'm on a diet. You don't want me to be an oinker, do you? So, you know, that's not appropriate anymore.
And then they gave their daughter a huge guilt trip about babysitting for Jamie because they were going to go out and their babysitter canceled. And I realize it's for the plot, but come on, couldn't you get another babysitter or couldn't they cancel their plans? So the reason she really, really, really wanted to go out with her boyfriend, Brady, was because she thought that he might propose. Well, guess what? After she cancels their date, he goes and sleeps with the sheriff's daughter.
Yeah, she was wearing a t-shirt that says cops do it by the book afterwards. Unfortunately, they got interrupted before they could really do anything because her dad came home.
Yeah, that was funny. Um, oh, another movie, and there's kids bullying other kids. They're bullying Jamie specifically. And they're literally chanting, "Jamie's an orphan," and they drive her out of the school. And then that's when she decides that she will go trick or treating, and she picks the clown costume. So maybe that actually was the beginning of the end, because spoiler alert, she ends up killing at the end, kind of following in her uncle's footsteps. And so maybe she really did want to go out and get revenge. What do you think?
I don't know what happened there. I'm near the end. She touches Michael when he's laying there, quote unquote, dead. I don't know if he is dead or not. Well, he's not because there's a fifth movie. But I think maybe when she touched him there, or like she was kind of looking at his hand, and she didn't seem scared, so maybe some of that like rubbed off on her, maybe, perhaps.
Yeah, she was maybe empathizing with him. And yeah, I mean, that technically within this story, that's her uncle. So, yeah, it's his niece.
I thought instead of bringing those people straight home, they definitely should have gone to the hospital. I mean, they had that huge trauma. Uh, not Kelly, what was her name?
Rachel.
Rachel fell off of like a 3-story house, and they had just run Michael over with a car. So I'm thinking instead of going straight home. They should have gone to the hospital for observation or something.
Yeah, I think that would have been a good thing to do. These 80s guys, you recognize the one guy. I mean, they've got the mullets. They're just so typical 80s. What was that one guy from that you recognized him from?
Yeah, I thought I recognized him from seeing this movie, but I really haven't seen this movie very much. But he was the meathead football player, I think, in Dazed and Confused, which is a really funny movie. I recommend.
I recognized him from the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, so he was also in that. And then there was the sort of toothless old man who was driving the van that picked Loomis up, and we recognized him from a bunch of stuff. And you recognized him first from
Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I think Pee-wee rides on a train with a hobo, and they're singing like she'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. Yeah, and I think he offers him a sardine. I could be mistaken.
So that guy, that actor, also was in many more Tim Burton movies, but I think I recognize him most recently from The Wedding Singer, and then he was also in Wayne's World, which used to be on rotation in my house.
Wayne's World's another classic. Yeah, so we're starting to recognize these people, but not from this movie, from other movies. So
But there's a bar scene, and these good old boys all jump in their trucks and decide to go, um, try to hunt down Michael Myers. But in the bar, in the background, they had a Spud McKenzie, like a life-size Spud McKenzie. Do you remember that? Were you old enough to recognize Spud McKenzie? Like he used to do the Bud Light commercials. It was Bud Light, right? Or what? Or Budweiser? What was it? Bud Light.
I believe it was Bud Light. I was younger, but I distinctly remember it, which does prove that they are probably targeting kids.
I remember my friend had a Spud McKenzie like stuffed animal. Like that's totally inappropriate, but they did market to us. And so, I mean, that went away. Remember the Budweiser frogs? That was kind of, I mean, not it wasn't targeted to kids, but that's really memorable. And Joe Camel smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, I think they were definitely going after kids because those are going to be your customers someday. So, I mean, you want to get your brand in there early and get those lifelong customers.
Speaking of which, we were at a festival recently, and I kept smelling all of these wonderful smells, and it was the vape pens. They've got such wonderful smelling vape pens, and cigars smell really good too. I'm not encouraging you to vape or smoke, listeners, but they get you hooked in these innocent ways.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. They must have some kind of laws against it, but they still do it. So, one question I have is why does Michael always want to go after and kill his family members? Like, it just seems strange to me.
I don't know. Like, I mean, that's why. I mean, I guess that's the question at the end of the day is what is compelling him? Is it like this little backstory with Jamie? Is it because she was bullied and then she feels like she needs to take revenge? But why on the family? I don't know. And in our book coming out in February, I pose the question and wonder. I mean, isn't it scarier if we don't know why he's killing people? It's almost scarier because you can't make sense of it and it's a problem you can't solve. So in a way that's more horrific. I don't know.
Yeah, the Dr. Loomis guy seems to understand Michael the best and know his motivations. That's why he knew right when he escaped that he would definitely go right after this girl. So
Yeah, true. He does have it together. Um, they did kill a dog in this movie. Spoiler alert and warning if you don't want to see pet deaths. I mean, they didn't show him kill the dog, but they did show the dead dog. And another scene that they didn't show that we were saying, well, maybe we would have liked to have seen just to understand how he did it was they show up at the police station and just everybody's dead and the power is out. I mean, I guess because he threw that guy into the power station. But how was he able to overtake all of these trained professionals with so many weapons?
yeah, I think we've talked about this on a previous Halloween. He has some supernatural ability. He has to. I mean, he teleports around. He has superhuman strength. You can shoot him 8 million times and he doesn't seem to die. So, I mean, they don't really explain it. It's more of a psychosis he has, but he also has some kind of strength, like super strength.
Yeah, he has to. And that's the thing too. It's like even if he had that condition where you couldn't feel pain, like your internal organs are bleeding, so you would die eventually, but he doesn't. He keeps coming back. How many Halloween movies are there, Mark? Will you look it up?
Well, I was looking up the actress who played Jamie. Danielle Harris is her name. And fun fact, she was born 8 days before you.
Oh, and the same year?
Yes.
So we're the same age. That's cool.
Yep. I won't say the year, but
Yeah.
June 1st and you're June 9th, so.
Oh, that's interesting. And wait, the one who played Jamie. So yeah, she's done a lot of, she was in the Rob Zombie Halloween movies and a lot of other horror movies. So she had quite a career, or she still does, in the horror genre.
Yeah, I'm looking her up right now. She was in Postpartum, is that? Oh, okay. She seems to be in a lot of movies I've never heard of, but yeah, a lot of horror movies. See No Evil 2. Camp Dread. Okay, Kelly, I'll keep looking, and if I see any, I'll tell you.
So they, like I was mentioning earlier, they have obviously sort of rebooted and gone back to what is considered canon now is the first movie, the 2018 movie, and then there's going to be two more sequels. I'm curious how the storyline is going to progress and how do we explain. Are we going to get any sort of explanation for Michael Myers' drive and seemingly superhuman capabilities? I'm not sure, but I'm looking forward to them. I'll be there opening weekend.
So she was in Halloween 2 in 2009?
Yeah, that's the Rob Zombie reboot.
Ah, that makes sense. Okay. Have you seen it?
I have not, but maybe we need to check those out sometime.
Definitely, yeah. I'd be very interested to do that. Oh, a shout out to our dog Bucky. At one point, Michael kills a like utility worker, and then on his hat it says his name's Bucky. So we thought that was pretty funny. And then Bucky got thrown right into I don't know, all the transformer and got electrocuted, and then all the power for the town was gone. So it moved the plot along too.
Yes, I was wondering, like, when that happened, I'm like, I mean, I don't know if that could happen now. Maybe it could, and your entire, that could affect your entire grid. But yeah, this whole town was in crisis, and these good old boys, they thought they were doing the right thing. They grabbed their shotguns, they jumped in their trucks, but they ended up killing an innocent man. And then a bunch of them ended up getting killed because, of course, Michael Myers was hiding underneath the truck.
Yeah, you can't get away from Michael. Like he's like a grandmaster chess player. He's like 3 moves ahead. Excuse me. He's like 3 moves ahead of you all the time. So, I mean, he knew to get under that truck, to get out of the school somehow, get under that truck, and because he knew they'd put the Jamie in there. So he should be a chess player.
There you go. See? Oh, but you know what, Mark? That scene, the very first scene of the 2018 Halloween movie, he is chained to what appears to be a large chessboard.
I can't remember. Oh, Bobby Fischer, is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like the Bobby Fischer
Serial killers.
of Illinois or Haddonfield or whatever it's called.
He's the Bobby Fischer of serial killers or slashers. I don't know. What are we considering him? But yes. So you know what? I think you and Danny McBride had that similar thought that he is like a chess player.
I also thought it's funny to watch Michael Myers do like mundane type things. Like they threw all this stuff on the stairway to get up to the attic, to slow him down. So then it was kind of funny to watch him like have to like move this stuff and like climb the stairs. And then it was also funny to watch him struggle. He was like trying to climb the roof. So it was funny to see him like struggling, like trying to do that.
Yes, I love. I think there's a series of photographs that where people have recreated the horror villain icons, um, just like grocery shopping or doing regular activities, and that is pretty funny.
Yeah, and also in the scene at the end when they shot him, it was a little cheesy, funny, like slow motion as like all these cops are shooting him. It's kind of like reminded me of Hot Shots Part 2, I think, where they're like it's like way over the top, slow motion, like machine guns and all these guns and stuff. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, and I did not recognize that weapon that the main sheriff had. It was pretty extreme, and they just he like falls into this like hole or abandoned mine pit or something, and when they come back to the house, they're like, is he dead? And it's like he's gone to hell where he belongs. He's dead and buried. But it's like, he's definitely, well, I mean, we know he's alive down there.
Yeah, they definitely should have destroyed his body. Like I don't even know what you could do to it, but burn it. I don't know. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like, oh, he fell in the hole. We shot him, 86 times. He's dead. News flash. He's not dead.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in these next two movies. We'll see what happens.
I did forget about that twist ending, where the girl, Jamie, kills the mom and pretty much turns into Michael. So yeah, I actually literally got goosebumps like when that happened, or I think it was the shot up the stairway of her with the actual mask on, the same clown outfit, holding the scissors. So that was a good way to end, I thought.
It was incredible. And, I was thinking earlier when they showed her in the clown costume, I was like, oh, I wonder if they would go this direction or if that's too dark. And they went there. Loomis's reaction to it, and he puts up the gun like he's going to shoot her, and then the cop stops him. That was really powerful too, because it's like he's deciding right there, like, what do we do with this? I know what Michael Myers became, and I tried to help him all these years, and is this her fate?
Yes, that was power. Loomis would have probably killed her just because he was on the high of getting rid of Michael and then realizing that it was all just probably starting over again was not a great thought for him.
It was interesting how, I don't know the story about Jamie Lee Curtis not appearing in this movie at all. But it was interesting how they were able to use her image in the photos. And so when they're just referring to her and there's the shoebox of pictures of her we could see. But it just felt a little strange, and it's like she just died in a car accident. It's like, aw.
Yeah, and I must have been out of the room for a minute and I didn't hear that. And they really don't talk about her much. And to just like flippantly say, oh, she just died in a car accident and move on is pretty weak in my book. They should have, for such like a main character, had, I don't know. But I mean, I guess if that's what happened, right?
Yeah, and that was the easiest way for them to move on with the daughter now. So, I don't remember what happens in 5. We're gonna have to watch it next because what the heck? I was saying, well, is she the killer in the next movie? This little girl? She must not be because Michael's always alive.
Yeah, I must have thought I was gonna be watching 5 when we were watching this because I remember like a big party like out at a farm or something. And that's what I thought this one was getting towards, but it didn't. So that must be 5. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see.
And there was a scene early in the movie with people toilet papering a house. Have you ever toilet papered someone's house, Kelly?
I haven't, but I know we were we were talking about maybe we should do it like when we were younger before we had kids. We were young and reckless. We're like we should go toilet paper someone's house and we never did. But is it I assume you have. Is it fun?
Yeah, it's really really fun. Yeah, it's hard to explain why. It just is. And one time we were toilet papering this house. We biked to this house. The people weren't home, and it was probably 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, and we were toilet papering it. And as we were doing it, they came home and they like saw us. So we just ran and like they were in their car like combing the neighborhood looking for us. And we had left our bikes like in the weeds near their house. So we were hiding in the woods and they were like going slow looking for us and we made it back to our house and then it was me, my brother and his friend and we were all scared and we had to go back out like at like 1 a.m. to get our bikes and I just remember we got our bikes and I biked like as hard as I ever have in my life to get home.
Oh my gosh. Now, is this the same time when your mom covered for you and said you were in the basement the whole time? Or was that another prank that you pulled and you had to pretend like you were actually home when you were creating havoc?
No, that was when we threw a snowball at some guy's car. And then my friend, this was during the day, which was just stupid. But we were running and this guy was chasing us through the woods and we like split up and my friend Tim is like, Mark, where are you? So then they knew,
Your name?
my name and so we ran to my house and I don't know, took like our coats and hats off and stuff and I think my mom just didn't know. And we said, no, we've been watching a movie or something like that. Because the guy came to my house and said we had just done this. So
Oh.
it was pretty fun.
Now, if you had thrown a snowball at Michael Myers, he would have known it was you and he would have been at your house before you got there.
Definitely. I mean, he's way ahead of us. Whenever they show him walking, he walks really slow and he moves really slow. But I think it's just because he knows that he can just shift around somehow. It's ridiculous.
Yes, it's true. I'm agreeing with you on that supernatural ability. Well, let's rank Halloween 4 on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 being you hated it, 10 being you think it's a perfect movie. What should our scale be for Halloween 4?
Maybe cops do it by the book t-shirts.
Yes, perfect. How many t-shirts do you give this movie?
I'll give it like a 4 or a 5. I mean, it wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it was just, I don't know, nothing too earth-shattering. I mean, the ending was kind of cool with when Jamie kind of turned into Michael, but for most of the movie, it was entertaining, but it wasn't like, didn't challenge me like my mind or like wasn't like I don't know. We just watched The Sixth Sense. I don't know if I could say that or not, but
Yeah.
we were kind of comparing like that was like a masterpiece, and this was just kind of like I don't know, like a kid's painting or something.
Yeah, yeah. I'm also going to give it a 4, and I was thinking of how it's Halloween 4, and I'm giving it a 4. 4 t-shirts because this I went in though with maybe a little bit too high of expectations because I remembered that this is the first Halloween movie I watched, and there was some imagery that stuck out to me, and I remembered, and it never lived up to it, and that's okay. I mean, it's a popcorn movie. It's Michael Myers. If you're looking for your slasher movie, it's fine. It gets the job done, but like you said, it didn't blow me away.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's not too much more to say about it. It was fine. It was, entertaining, but I'm not gonna like spend the next week thinking about it and like what all the symbolism and stuff.
Yeah, true. But maybe I should give it maybe I should give it a half a crop shirt for that ending because that was pretty powerful. So, we want to hear your rankings of the Halloween franchise and what do you think is the best movies from the original groupings? And then, the other thing I'm interested in, I mean, as we're rewatching these, is Halloween H2O. Do you remember that? Josh Hartnett is like her son, and Laurie Strode's back to life. Like she's not dead. So do they talk about that at all?
I don't remember. Like there seems to be varying strings of this franchise, so
Right, because then there's the Rob Zombie lineup too. So I'm very confused.
yeah, I like the ones where she's still alive better. I mean, to me that makes more sense because she's pretty much the main focus and main character from the very beginning, first two movies.
Yeah, I agree. And I rewatched the 2018 Halloween because I wrote about it for our upcoming book, and I liked it more than on the rewatch than I did on the original viewing. And as I admitted when we did the podcast on that episode, I think my expectations were so high that I had to take a step back from it. So I think you should rewatch it too. It holds up, or it's even better on a second viewing.
I'd definitely be interested in doing that, and yeah, I mean, but now that you've said that, now my expectations are high again, so maybe I don't know.
It'll be fine. I promise. It will. It'll be better than Halloween 4. I can tell you that right now.
Well, now you're setting the bar pretty low, so no, I'm just kidding.
No, it was fine. Halloween 4. We're sorry if we hurt your feelings, but your feelings can't be hurt because just like Michael Myers, you'll just keep coming back.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep coming back. I'll keep watching these movies whenever Kelly tells me to, and yeah, no, it's really fun to watch these movies and take notes
And relive childhood.
exactly, yeah, yep.
Well, let us know what you're watching this week, and until next time, we'll see you in the horror section.
Bye.